Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're pleased to welcome you here today. The Ukrainian gas storage in 2020 on the way from being an addition to the Ukrainian gas and transport system to becoming an independent operator of the gas and transport market of Europe. This is the topic that we have chosen for our today's discussion. It seems that today is October and it's really early for us to make the conclusions of the year, but the gas sphere lives under different plans and schedules. Currently, we know that the pumping season is ending up, the injection season is ending up, and we already can speak of whether this year will be successful for Ukrainian gas storages or no. Honestly speaking, 2020 has been a very challenging year compared to all of the other years when we have the operator of the gas storages working in Ukraine. This is the very first year when Ukrainian gas storages have been working as an independent operator. As far as you remember, on the 1st of January 2020, a very important reform in the gas market of Ukraine has happened. We had the debundling of the operator of the gas and transport system of Ukraine, and currently Ukrtransgaz is basically providing the function of storing the gas. We can now speak that this year has been successful for us, and we can also say that Ukrainian gas storages as a separate way of activities can work and can be effective. And today in our studio, we have the people who know about the Ukrainian gas storages a lot, and well, at least almost all. I'm pleased to welcome all of you, and I would like to welcome Mr. Serhiy Pereloma, who is the Acting General Director of the Ukrtransgaz. Please welcome Volodymyr Rudko, who is the main engineer of Ukrtransgaz, and Ms. Agneta Kutselim, who is the Commercial Director of Ukrtransgaz. For today's discussion, we're going to have me, Katerina Braga, the main moderator. I'm the head of the corporate communications at Ukrtransgaz. But before we start our discussion and before we start our discussion on what has happened through 2020, let us try to recall what do we have in Ukrainian underground gas storages and why they are an important element, not only for the Ukrainian gas transport system, but for the whole European gas transport system. Please take a look at the video. The underground gas storages are an important element for the energy security of Ukraine. They provide the opportunity to calm down the season peaks of the gas, to inject the gas when it's needed. The traditional injection of gases to the underground storages starts in March and April, and then the usage of it at the beginning of the heating seasons. Ukrainian UGS are very important. They are number 3 in the world after Russia and US. And in Europe, Ukrainian storages are the biggest. They are 21% of the overall volumes of the storages of Europe. Among the 3 leaders is also Italy and Germany. Ukrtransgaz, as the operator of domestic storages, operates most of the storages on the territory of Ukraine. One of the storages is currently placed at the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. We can store for more than 30 billion cubic meters of gas. The biggest volumes are concentrated in the western part of Ukraine, but in the recent 2 years, the role of Ukrainian storages at the gas map of Europe has changed because of the systemic reforms in the gas market of Ukraine, important geographical location, and the competitiveness of Ukrainian tariffs. In 2020, Ukrainian UGSs are starting to become an independent operator at the gas market of Ukraine. Last year, foreign companies have for the first time has started to use our storages for storing their own gas capacities. Then, under the unknown fate of the transit further on, the Europeans have created a reserve for their gases. And the season fluctuation of the prices for gas have also increased the interest of the foreign investors to the Ukrainian gas storage systems. Right now, we're storing around 10 billion cubic meters of gas. Up till October 2020, we're storing more than 28 billion cubic meter of gas in Ukrainian storages, which is the highest indicator in the recent 10 years. The operators of the gas storages of Ukraine has made everything in our efforts in order to apply all of the certifications, and additional capacities of our UGSs have been used by the foreign clients. So the very first year of independent work of the operator of the gas storages after the unbundling of our activities has promised to become successful. So, said he, I think I would like to turn to you with the very first question. I do believe that the biggest attention was to the operator of the gas and transport system because this company has been unbundled and everyone was trying to understand whether they will perform as an independent operator. What has been happening in Ukrtransgaz at this point? Good day. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who has joined our today's event, and I would like to try to cover all of the questions that you will have today. This year has been lots of attention, as you have identified. The OGTSU has a lots of attention whether they will be an independent operator of the gas and transport system. But the very first time we have also started to operate our storages on our own. Yes, you're right. We have more than 10 months has passed since the moment when at the very beginning of the year we have started the unbundling process for Naftogaz of Ukraine, Ukrtransgaz. We come up with all of our commitments. We have completed the unbundling of the transporting of gas from all of the other activities. So it's now important for us to understand what Ukrtransgaz has, what Ukrtransgaz, the operator of the underground gas storages of Ukraine, is doing right now. We can now divide the activities of Ukrtransgaz for the storing of gas businesses, and you have seen it right now in the video that we have 12 underground storages right now, but we're now working only with 11 of those. And one of our storages is currently under the uncontrolled territory and temporarily occupied territory, and thus it's not included into the Ukrainian gas and transport system. The overall volume of storage can be more than 30 billion of cubic meters of gas. Also, Ukrtransgaz manages 16 services, filials, and branches. They have been providing services inside of the system of Ukrtransgaz, but right now, under the new conditions, those branches are going to be continuing providing the high quality services to reserve and to store the services, to provide services for the OGTSU, for other enterprises in the Naftogaz Group, but also to provide their unique competences to at least other participants of Ukrainian markets. Thus, what I was also wanted to identify that overall today in Ukrtransgaz we have more than 5,400 people. What are the main tasks for the closest future, for the nearest future for Ukrtransgaz? Speaking on storing natural gas, we would like to rebuild our inside business processes. What do we want to do that? We would like to be more efficient, we would like to be more effective and more attractive and more comfortable for our clients, the people who would like to store their gas. We're continuing to looking for the new clients, and I do believe that we will have the time to discuss how we manage to do that in 2020, but we will continue in offering the new products in the market. We're going to keep the interest for us and for our services for the future. And of course, as any other company, we're going to decide the issues of optimizing our current costs. And of course, another point that is important for any company working in this market is the development of our communications, and we're going to discuss it in more details, of course, today. Speaking in our branches, as I've already has said, historically it happened that they've been working only for the inside needs of the systems of the Ukrtransgaz. The Ukrtransgaz that has been working till the 1st January 2020, before the unbundling has happened. But all of those 6 branches that are kind of available, they have the unique competences in the market. And our main task today is not only to make them profitable, but also to offer those competences and expertise to the Ukrainian gas market for other potential clients and customers of our services available. So here, you've said about the costs. What about the profits? What about the income? If we will take a look at the result of work of Ukrtransgaz last year, so just to make it sure that 9 months in 2019, when you also worked with the transportation of gas and storage of gas, the income was 35.9 billion hryvnias. We know that the biggest income source is now in the management of OGTSU, but basically, how much has the operator of the storages has earned, the Ukrtransgaz has earned, and what are the sources of income? Thank you very much for these questions. Even though after the unbundling, the incomes for those activities as the transportation of the natural gas are no more in our competence as the main operator of the underground storages, Our income has decreased, yes, almost by 10, but it doesn't prevent the company to still be effective and profitable. Right now, you can please take a look at the slides. We are showing that the business of storing the natural gas is economically profitable. In 9 months of 2020, this is the operational data. As you understand, we're still continuing getting the final reports. So the operational income of our company is around 4.5 billion hryvnias, and the financial results before the taxes is now 2,700,000 million hryvnias. So it's given us the opportunity to pay to the budget of all levels around 3.7 billion hryvnias as taxes. So this is going to be our share in the development of our state. Speaking on the other structures and the structure of the income for the operator of the gas storages, you can see those two diagrams that are now reflected on the slide. You can see that the main profits on storing the natural gases has given us more than 4 billion hryvnias. Our main, most powerful clients are the enterprises of the Naftogaz Group that have paid for our services around 1.8 billion hryvnias. The residential companies of Ukraine, and very important number for us that this year has appeared, and basically I think we will later on discuss it in more details. This is the profits that we have achieved for the non-residential companies of Ukraine, the component non-residents. There's almost 135 billion. If we're speaking about the clear net value, the net income from the services, I would like to tell you that Transgaz is a regulated business. We're working under the tariffs that have been identified by the national regulators. As the end of our activities, we had slightly less than 2 billion, which was the money for the injection of the natural gas to the underground storages, less than 1 billion, 0.8 billion hryvnias. Those are our income for the collection of the gas, and for the storages, there's 1.4 billion hryvnias. I also want to draw your attention to another point when we are speaking about the profits on storing the natural gases in the underground storages. That this is the payment for the services that we have provided this year and some of the debts that have been covered for the previous periods. Thank you very much, Serhiy. Thank you very much for that. And can you please also tell us, I do believe that our audience, they have all heard and they all know that this year Ukrainian underground storages have the full fulfillment. Let us discuss it in more details. What are the indicators? What are the figures? What are the volumes? What are the resident companies, non-resident companies? Who made those numbers possible? Well, first of all, I would like to say that the markets, indicators and market trends have made those numbers and volumes possible, but we will discuss it later on. I still would like to ask you to take a look at this diagram that you can see at the slide. In blue, you can see this is the level of the fulfillment of the volumes and the capacities of our underground storages. So right now we almost have 28 billion cubic meters of gas in our storages based on the morning of today. And this is the record in the last 10 years. The question that has been asked frequently, can we do more? Yes, we can do more if we had the active injection, if the active injection has been started as it has been done many years ago, after the heating season has been ended. This year, there was such kind of market conditions that the interest of the customers for the services, for the active injection, it has started to grow only at the end of March, beginning of June. So we've lost part of May and part of April and May, which were the main periods when we could increase the temps of injection of the natural gas into our storages. But overall, we can state that the results are very good. In orange, you can see those are dynamics for the different years. What was the dynamics of injection? I think the only solely year when the physical injection has been performed on the highest level than in the current year was the last year, but we know what was about that. The market didn't understand what was going to be happening with the transit, what will be happening with the transit contracts in 2020. And both the customers and the traders, they were getting ready for the transit to be interrupted. So everyone wanted to have some reserves stored. Even though the difference is just 1 billion of cubic meters, which is not a significant difference for the gas storages. Can I have a next slide, please? If I would like to answer the second part of your question, which was what is the main the main sources of these volumes? So we have this company residents, companies non-residents. We can see that there's an increase of the non-residential companies. We can see that there is a growth of the interest in other services, in the services of Ukrtransgaz, the operator of the underground gas storages in Ukraine. We have seen the foreign companies being interested in our services more. I would like to also identify that we have to mention the product that has already been created, that has already offered by Ukrtransgaz starting from 2017, which is basically using the natural gas as the custom storage. As we take a look as one again diagram, you can take a look at the screen once again. In 2017 and in 2018, we didn't have a high demand for that. Let us say that was a very moderate demand for this service and this product. There was slightly limited amount of the contracts that allowed you to use the service. In 2019, we have seen the rise of the demand, and more than 7 billion cubic meters of the natural gas have been injected into the Ukrainian storages by using this product, by using this service. But this service has shown very good results this year, together with the services that have been provided with a so short haul that has been provided by the OGTSU that really worked very well together. So that is why we can now state that the regime of the custom storage, we now have 11.2 million cubic meters of gas, and 6 BCM out of that has been injected as the custom storage regime. And we will continuing to answer what is the structure of the Ukrainian underground storages at this moment, what they are made of. Once again, getting back to the Naftogaz Group. Naftogaz Group has 13.7 BCM in our storages. Out of those, in the custom storage, only 1 BCM, 20% out of it, 200 million cubic meters have been injected with the usage of the short haul. The company residents of Ukraine have 4.6 BCM in our storages. In this not a very popular regime for the short haul regime and for the custom services, they only have 200 million cubic meters of gas. But if we take a look at the overall share of the companies that are non-residents in Ukraine, then you can see that they overall responsible for 10 BCM of natural gas in Ukrainian storages in the regime of the custom storage. 6 of those has been injected with the usage of the short haul service. Okay, so Sari, can you please tell us about also the market factors? What has really been significant for this kind of success for the operator of the storages? Were you lucky or no? Honestly speaking, both of that. And I would like to say that, I can't say that the market has not been very favorable to us. That will be a lie. And I do believe that everyone who participates in this event, they're following the main events on the market, and they will also agree to those main factors. We all know that last year, no one was sure about what is going to happen with transit in Ukraine, whether we will have the transit from Russia to European countries through the territory of Ukraine. That was an open question till the final day of last year of 2019. And with the help of the professional work of the Naftogaz Group, and because of our professional employees, and because of the work of the representatives of the Ukrainian state, the contract has been preserved. But the members of the market, the actors of the market, they were ready for the transit to be interrupted. So there was a lot of gas that has been injected to the underground storages that have been injected there at the end of 2019. We also can say that the last spring has been quite warm, so the usage of the natural gas throughout the heating season was lower than it has been forecasted, and is lower than the numbers that we have getting prepared to. After that, every one of us remember the significant decrease of the prices for the natural gas and the serious decrease of the demand. If we speak about the demand for the natural gas, then we also should mention the COVID-19 pandemic that has had a significant say into this demand flow. So yes, there has been many different market trends that helped us to become effective this year. But from our parts, we have also made a lot of efforts with our own power, with our own strengths in order to become much more attractive to our clients. When we're speaking about attractiveness, we not only mean the commercial part of it, we try to become loyal, faithful, and clear and understandable for our clients. These are the main factors, and this is the main factors that have to be considered by any kind of operators of the gas and transport system in order to become viable. So these are a lot of things that have been done by our team, and if I would like to evaluate it, I would like to start with the unbundling that has happened at the beginning of this year. I am sure that the unbundling that has been done in Ukraine has also improved the trust and confidence from our partners. From our side, we're building our commercial functions. We have offered the new products for our customers. We're continuing doing that. We have a very interesting plans for the future, but let us have it in its own time. We also have additional products for the custom storage and the short haul that we already have, and I do believe that we should not undermine this trend as well. And speaking on the work of Ukrtransgaz again, I would like to mention that we're now currently moving in two very important directions. First of all, the digitalization of all of those processes. What do we mean by that? We would like to collaborate with our clients, with our customers who would like to order the storage of natural gas. We would like to make our communication very clear and very easy. So we would like to take down the old practices that in order to make any kind of transaction, you have to perform a lot of papers, you have to stamp that, you have to have the clear signature on that, and you have to fulfill all of the other additional forms. We are trying to follow the overall development of the digital transactions being performed, and I do believe that this also covers the interest of our clients. And we are also trying to become a clear and transparent organization for our clients. We're using the best practices on transparency and collaboration with our clients. We're actively collaborating on compliance. We have introduced and we're actively using the Know Your Client system. And if you will take a look at our official pages and our web portal, then you will notice that we're trying to publish and we're trying to inform the society, inform our partners, our clients with significant amount of information in order to help them to make the informed decision and will make our work clearer. At the next slide, I would like to also identify the following, just to continuing the topic of what has been done by our team. If you will take a look at this diagram, at this graph of the injections for this year, you can see that in blue, that's the company residents of Ukraine. In orange, you can see the non-residents companies and in legends, you can see the level of the fulfillment of the underground gas storages in Europe. This graph will show you that we basically started the season of the injections with a very high level of the fulfillment of the underground storages in Europe. There was already 54% of their capacities, which is 70% higher than usually at this period of time. And as you can see right now, based on the 1st of October, it is already on the level of 95% of fulfillment in Europe. Why we wanted to show you this graph? It underlines the main fact that Ukraine has a significant role, a significant say, not only in the energy independence of our country, but in the energy independence of Europe overall. When the European gas storages are fulfilled, Ukrainian gas storages were able to offer good products, good services, confident work, and the good participation of the market actors to preserve their natural resources. Thank you. Thank you very much. Having that said, we have some information that we also would like to share. And when we're speaking of the competitiveness. And when we're speaking that Ukrainian market has become a certain, let us say, terra incognita for European customers, and on the other hand, we were quite attractive for them, and we were able to show to offer the competitive conditions. If we compare how much does it cost to store your gas in Ukraine and how much does it cost to store your gas in our neighboring countries, what will be the difference? The next slide will answer this question. I'm not going to read out this number, these figures. This is basically very boring, and you can see that on your own. Just two comments that I would like to give upon that. First of all, if we will compare the tariffs on storing the gas in Ukrainian underground storages, then even if we will consider the tariffs on the additional transportation services, they are still attractive for the customers and for the market participants. The prices, as you can see from those figures, we have made this benchmark and comparisons, and we have made the comparisons with Poland, Slovakia, Romania, and Hungary, and you can see that the Ukrainian underground storages, they are able to offer you interesting services with interesting tariffs. And as well, I know that there's a lot of discussion currently happening on how the tariffs should be built, how the tariffs should be on the actions, whether there's going to be the tariff that is currently exists in Ukraine. But right now, what do we have? We have a fixed flat rate, and we don't have the action on the delivery of the volumes, which is and the capacities. This is a very interesting discussion. But right now, when we have the flat rate and the flat fee, it's a very good for our clients because they can calculate their operational activities, then can forecast their plans, knowing the conditions that are easily predictable, and you're not going to be dependent on the market trends and the results of the possible auctions. Thank you, Serhi. Well, for quite a lot of time, we have been discussing the issue of the foreign clients that we have seen this year. They have been using actively the services of Ukrainian gas storages. But let us take a look. What were the countries that have now came to us and to store their gas with us? Take a look at the video, please. Storing the gas in Ukrainian underground storages is now growing bigger in the recent 2 years. At the very beginning of 2019, the foreigners only stored 47,000 cubic meters of gas. Right now, October 2020, this figure is already 10 billion cubic meters. USA, Great Britain, France, and currently we have more than 21 countries storing their gas in Ukrainian storages. In the last half a year at the gas injection season 2020, the overall number of Ukrainian underground storages clients has grown by 50% from the foreign countries. What are the secrets of this success? The key reasons are the conditions of the markets and the low prices on gas. That's all has made international traders to look for new capacities for storing their gases. But also an important argument was the reforms of the gas market of Ukraine. For example, finalization of the unbundling of the Ukrainian gas transport system. After that, our gas market has become much more attractive for our Western partners. Ukraine has offered the international partners with the very competitive advantages for storing their gases, and the process has been organized according to the European and international standards. So, I would like to invite our next speaker, Ms. Agnata Kozlin. So, Agnata, I would like to ask you to tell us a little bit in more details. What are the countries that has joined now? Who are the clients of Ukrainian underground storages, especially if we're speaking about the injection season 2020? We understand that the price is an important thing, and it's very good. We have a low prices, but in order to have the clients coming, we have to also introduce the new products to the market. So who are our clients and what do we offer them? Thank you. Thank you very much. So let us pay our attention who we have as the clients for the operator of the gas storages. You can see at this slide, we have more than 790 clients. 79 of those are the non-residence company. I can underline that 21 countries has now been working with our operators of the gas storages. So the non-residential companies from Ukraine, they have concluded the agreements for the storing of gas with Ukrtransgaz, and now they have the opportunity to use our services. I also would like to outline our important agreement campaign that has been concluded by Ukrtransgaz from May to August. This is the period when we have seen that has been the growing demand and growing interest towards the storages in Ukraine, and a lot of new agreements have been concluded at this moment to have this access in the customs reserves. I would like to ask you to get to the next slide and to take a look about what are the services and the product that are currently offered by the operators of the gas storages. You can see we have the injection, storage and collection that has been provided according to the framework agreement that we have. We have also outlined the product that has been called the custom storage that has been implemented in 2017, but we have seen the highest demand starting from last year, and the active usage we have now shown in 2020 together with the short haul that has been introduced by the operator of the gas transport system of Ukraine. It has given us a very good indicators of injection in this combination. But the commercial function in Ukrtransgaz is not only moving with this directions that we already have, we also would like to implement the new services and new products. We're looking for the new functionality and new functions for the operators of the gas storages. What are we currently working on? The agreement of the monitoring of the gases. What do we want to do that? We would like to collaborate with the banking institutions in order to provide the opportunity to monitor. So basically to see all of the actions in the underground storages that we have that are under the banking loans or under the banking mortgage that are still owned by the clients. And we also would like to start the collaboration with Ukrainian energy markets. We would like to go for the energy exchange and working with the trading these storage capacities. In our plans this year, at the beginning of 2021, we would like to implement, so basically building up the business processes of the technical implementation to the platform and providing the availability of those services for the clients who already have the concluded agreements with Ukrtransgaz. So we're not stopping, we're constantly developing ourselves, we're constantly working on becoming much more efficient than we are, on how we would like to collaborate with our clients so that they would provide with it, so that they will be provided with the best services and they would have the access to all of the functions of the platform that we're currently working on. Agneta, can you please tell us also, we understand that currently if we have now almost reached the maximums of the fulfillment of our underground storages, we are still having a lot of capacities fulfilled. But if, for example, the next winter is going to be cold, there might be a situation happening that the demand from our customers is going to be higher than the technical capacities of Ukrainian UGS. What will you do as the operator of the UGS and how will you work with those orders? Yes, thank you very much for this question. And I would like to ask for the next slide in order to discuss the situation that we have during the peak tension. And we have seen in summer this year that has been the peaking tension on the injection level to our UGS. And what we have been made to do, we've had to either reclaim or support the nomination with a slight decrease. That was an important action by the operator of the UGS that was concluded with the technical limitations on the injections a day. Well, you can see at this very slide that there is a very short algorithm of how the operator of the underground gas storages reacts when the demand is higher than our technical capacities. Every day, we underline what is the technical capacities that we have. The technical services, they inform our dispatchers. And as you know, the annual capacities that has been already bought by the clients, it is guaranteed. It's been taken out of it. And then we calculate the free capacities per day. We have mechanisms of informing our clients through their personal cabinets in our informational platform of the operator of the UGS and informing them on the official site of the Ukrtransgaz. And so all of the customers, they know what are the free capacities for the next day into the specific part of time. And so thus, when we've had that demand from our clients and when we had more than our capacities, then of course we knew we have to then decrease those volumes that can be injection, or we have to postpone the nominations. But I would like to tell that all of the actions of Ukrtransgaz have used a non-discriminative approach and transparent approach according to the code of the gas storages, because the code of the gas storages is the main documents that regulate all of our actions and communications with the clients. According to the code, we have a very specific algorithm. First of all, we are approving with a decrease of the volume. So we're starting with the long time products, and this is the annual capacities, then the month's capacities, then the capacity for the next day. And if the very same products has been nominated to the platform in the very same time, then of course the platform will identify the number of the line according to the terms of its usage, and then we decline or limit the specific amounts of it. So now we get into the end of the physical season of the injection, and I would like to say that the very same algorithm, the very same code principles are going to be used by us when we're going to improve the nominations and the renominations of the services provided in our collection season, in the injection season. We are ready for that already now. I would like to also once again emphasize that the commercial department is constantly working on the updating our services and products provided, and we're looking for the feedback from our clients. That is very important for Ukrtransgaz. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Agnetha. And if we're speaking about the work of UGS, then of course everything that we have discussed previously is very important, but there is the basis, there is the foundation that will take down all of our efforts. Then you have to have a lot of troubleshooting in place. You have to modernize the objects of your infrastructure in order to provide the confident storage of gas. And right now we have Volodymyr Rudko, the main engineer of Ukrtransgaz. Volodymyr, can you please tell us what the company plans in the nearest future in order to modernize the systems of the gas storages of Ukraine? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ukrainian storages are a unique system that has been created throughout many decades. The peak of the development of our storages has been at the 70s, 80s of the 20th century. The first storage that has been started its exploitation in the territory of Ukraine was the Helachivska storage that has been launched into usage in 1964. Currently, Ukrtransgaz has been exploiting and operating 11 storages that are mostly located into the 7 regions of Ukraine. As you have already said, the active volume of the gases that are available to store in our storages is 30.9 BCM of gas. This is a very big number. This is basically the biggest number. We don't have a single state in Europe that has this kind of powerful gas storages available. According to the code of the gas storages, and in order to provide the successful work of the gas trans system, we have developed the program of development for the next 10 years. According to our development program, we would like to invest our underground storages and our technologies. We would like to invest more than 13 billion hryvnias. In the recent 3 years, we will have 5.8 billion hryvnias. What do we want to invest? First of all, we would like to invest it into this object that we have. First of all, the compression stations, because in the very same end, it will help us to save the costs on the fuel gases and to make our system more confident, to have more trust in our system. And you know that our storages, there are unique storages. We have the active volume of gas 17 BCM. This is the biggest storage in Europe and in Ukraine. We would like to invest into this compression station for more than 1 billion hryvnias in order to update it. The second object that we would like to invest, this is another compression station at another very important underground storage in the in Horshanske. We would like to also, up till 2023, would like to invest into this underground storages and the compression station more than 1 billion hryvnias. Next 9 objects, those are basically the points of the measuring of the gas. They have to be according to the code at the balance responsibility of the operator of the UGS. Those points, meter points, that we would like to build up right now, they will be all equipped with the meters that will help us to follow the quality characteristics of the natural gas online. That will be very important when Ukraine is going to get into the calculation of the natural gas, not in the BC, not in the cubic meters, but in the heating units. And it will happen quite soon. We would like to update our underground storages because it will improve the trust and confidence of our clients that we will be able to fulfill our functions in the future. Thank you very much, Vladimir. Sergei, back to you. I think to end up your presentation, I think I would like to ask you to tell us what are the main directions for the further on development of the operators of the gas storages. Everything has already been said by my colleagues, but I would like to just wrap up. This is the main task that Mr. Rudko has said. This is the updating of our gas storage systems in order for us, for our partners to be sure about our technical capacities to become a loyal storer of their capacities. The development of the commercial function that Agneta has mentioned out. We have done a lot this year and we're not going to stop with everything that we have achieved. We would like to offer the new products to our partners. We would like to offer additional privilege and flexibility to the participants of the market. So we'll be very happy to all of the participants of the market for the offers and feedback that they will have. What else would you like to receive from our side as the new services? And of course, our main further on task is to build up independent operator of the UGCs as according to the European templates. So this is basically the combinations of many factors, but the results will speak for itself. Thank you, Sergei. Thank you, Agneta. Thank you, Volodymyr. Today we have a discussion, not only the presentation, and that is why we already have the journalists joining us, the journalists from Ukrainian and international media, so you can already start to write us your questions. We'll be able to have some of the journalists in person, but you can write your questions in the chat box as well. But before we turn to the Q&A session, I would like to invite a special guest, the special guest that we've had in our virtual studio. A lot of people are asking us, who are your clients? And, we cannot answer those questions most of the times. We cannot mention the companies, and we cannot speak about the commercial conditions that we currently have between our customers and the operators of the underground storages of Ukraine. But today we're going to have a little bit of the unveiling of the secret, and we would like to invite the Vital company, the company that is one of 5 biggest gas traders in the European Union, and the headquarters is based in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and this company has been working with Transgaz for a certain time. And I do hope that we will be able to see the representative on the screen right now. No? Okay, not sure. Not sure. Can we have it? Oh, no, there's a technical problems, I guess. Okay, I guess then I think that we will be able to meet our colleagues as soon as possible, but let us get then now to the Q&A session, and I would like to invite Anna Borisova from the London Bloomberg Agency branch. Dear colleagues, Anna. Okay, not good, but okay. Well, okay, we've invited a lot of other people, not solely Anna. Alice Galgariasis, can you join us right now?
Hi everyone. Let me know if you can hear me.
Good day, Alice. Yes, we can hear you. Hello.
Hi, thank you very much for the presentation and thank you for having me. I actually had a couple of questions about some points that were mentioned. So my first question is, Ukrtransgaz has had a great year this year. We've seen nearly all storage sites being fully used. We know that as of today, there are around 28 billion cubic meters of gas held in Ukrainian storage sites. However, earlier this year, The former CEO, Sergei Olesyuk, told our company, ICIS, that some storages would have to be closed in the near future because they are old and inefficient. And you have mentioned some investments that you plan on doing to update the storage infrastructure. And of course, this year we have seen record interest from European players in Ukrainian storages. So my question is, are you still considering closing down some facilities? And if so, what sort of capacity is expected to be closed?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think Serhiy will answer that. Good day. Good day. Thank you very much for this question. Well, first of all, I would like to start with saying that, yes, some of our underground storages are, let us say, less attractive compared to other storages. But it doesn't mean that we're ready to announce their closure or conservation based on today. Based on today, we would like to work with the very same capacities of the underground storages that we currently have. We would like to update them and modernize those. And I would like to also say that there has been a lot of rumors going on that Ukrtransgaz as an operators, they will be doing something with storages like to sell those, to privatize those, close some of those down. Those are unreal scenarios based on today. First of all, because all of the underground storages of Ukraine are state-owned property. So basically, as an operator of the underground storages, we're only using and managing this state-owned property. We need to provide its functional usage and its preservation. So basically, any kind of rumors of the change of our main funds and our main assets that are not true and they're not following the regulations of Ukraine. I do believe that maybe there's a slight delay that we're going to have. Alice, have you heard the answers?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I have one more question, if I can. So European and US companies have actively injected gas in Ukrainian storages over the last 2 years. And as you said during the presentation, this was following the introduction. It was due, but also it followed the introduction of attractive new products such as short-haul and custom warehouse regime. However, some of them have been complaining about regular changes in tariffs, which they say create some unpredictability in the market. And I wanted to ask you, do you foresee further changes in tariffs next year? And what will those changes involve?
Thank you very much for the question. First of all, I would like to inform you that we do not set the tariffs. It's not in our competences. We are only the regulational businesses and we are following the regulator that puts on the tariffs. But you have seen in practice that our regulator considers the needs, our needs as an operator, and it also considers the needs of the players in this market. If you will come back to the presentation that we've had, our comparison presentation, how much will it cost you to store your gas in Ukrainian storages, even with all of the additional costs on the transportation of the natural gases, that is still a very attractive price for the traders, for the customers of our services from all over the world. And I'm absolutely sure that we're going to have the same approach in the future from the side of the regulator. Alice, okay. Do you have any more questions? Do you have any more questions to Mr. Paraloma or any other participants of our today's presentation?
Just as a follow-up on whether you think that the regulator will soon bring a new tariff calculation methodology at all, and if so, when and what the formula could involve.
The regulator, they monitor and they update the tariffs on an annual basis. This is the normal work for the regulator because the tariffs, they include many different components and we have some factors, certain factors that are changing. So starting from the rate of our national currency to the other currencies, there are some certain dependencies of the investment programs that have been declared for us as Ukrtransgaz by our main shareholders according to all of the other legislative conditions, like, for example, the minimum level of the salaries that has been put on in the budget of Ukraine on the legislative level, and then you have to also update the tariff. So this is a normal process happening, but based on today, I do not foresee any significant changes in this direction. On the tariff methodology, then it's available. This is a published open information and everyone can get acquainted with that at the regulator's site.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alice. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for participating in our today's presentation. And I would like to now invite Oleksiy Savitsky, the correspondent from the ICTV television station. Oleksiy, can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? So, okay, like the technology is not on our side today. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Good. The VTOL company has written us, has given us a sign that they will join us slightly later. Okay, then, Agneta, can we get back then to your presentation and maybe cover a couple of the questions from my side on communication, maybe slightly more. You have said that in the nearest times, Ukrtransgaz will offer its clients the monitoring of the gas for the mortgage gas. Whether this opportunity, whether this service is going to be introduced for the very first time, or whether you've had it already and we're only updating it slightly. Well, if we're speaking on any kind of like historical perspective on the historical data, according to the data that I have, we had some tryouts to provide the service on the overall volume of the gas that has now been stored in the underground vaults. But with the new market, with the new code, with the new access to the capacities, the new framework agreement of the storage, this service has not been presupposed by that, because according to the agreement, we have a standard amount of services provided, but we have some certain applications from our customers, from the banking services we're working with, that really worked to collaborate with Ukrtransgaz. They were asking whether we are able to introduce some certain services in order to see the gas that is mortgaged or lended by the banks, whether it can be then taken away from the customer if it's now being stored in the underground storages. And our team, Ukrtransgaz team, has analyzed these demands from the markets and from the banks. We're currently working on the agreement on providing this gas monitoring. We have already had a WebEx conference with the banks that were the most interested in this service provision, and we are on the final stage, I do believe, at making the draft of this agreement, and we are on the final stages of the technical implementations of that in order to provide the opportunity for the platform to block those capacities that are under mortgage, to provide additional options to our customers to follow those volumes that are being mortgaged. So what's going to be important about this service? That Ukrtransgaz, as an operator of the gas storages, will be responsible so that the gas that is under mortgage cannot be taken away without the agreement of the bank or before all of the commitments in the agreement will be fulfilled. This is the new product. I do believe we will then announce it at a separate press release at our site. We will launch this product as soon as possible. Currently, we are under the discussion with banks and with our own clients. So this is also an insider process where to complete the work. Okay, so we have the question from the chat box. My colleagues have sent it to us. So, question number 1, whether Ukrtransgaz plans to integrate itself into the electricity market, because the compression station can also provide the balancing services. This is Oleg Zagnitko's question, said he. A very short answer. Right now, we do not plan to enter the electricity market because maybe that the legislative regulations of the markets on the balancing capacities in electricity markets is not yet ready. Is not yet finished. It's really hard for us to calculate the business model and for us to understand how interesting the businesses can be. So as soon as we have the legislation in place for these issues, we will consider this question. What will be the answer? It will not yet for us easy to say. Okay, the next question from our colleagues from the chat box. The question is by Dmytro Bunetsky from Delo UA. Can you please tell us what is the overall amount of the volume of gases that we currently have in vaults can be used by Ukraine, by the residential sector, by the industry in case of the cold winter? An interesting question because we can use just as much as volume to be needed. We know that our capacities are enough right now. We're ready for the heating seasons. We're ready to fulfill the demand of all of the uses that we have. But in order for me to say what will be consumption this winter, it is impossible right now because you know very well that in order to answer this question, well, first of all, we have to understand the weather conditions. When we'll have the winter, when the heating season will start, when the heating season will end, for how long we will have the cold periods, for example, when we'll have the temperature less than 10 or 15 degrees for, I don't know, couple of weeks in a row. So it's really hard for us to calculate the consumption level. So how much will the enterprises of the heating infrastructure will collect? This is an open question. I don't know how they will going to be working, what are they planning, what fuels they're going to use for their heating seasons. We know when we have the market fluctuations and well, depending on the technical capacities, then some of the heating stations can use coal or additional fuels. Before we do not know their plans right now, so it's really hard for me to answer your question. The question is not for me either. Unfortunately, I think that the Ministry of Energy, as the main body that is responsible for building the policies in this sphere, they can provide you a more precise information. But I do believe that, and as I remember, this is the 7th heating season when I'm working in the system of Naftogaz of Ukraine. And, you know, out of those 7, we never had this volumes of the storages of gas in our vaults. So this gives us the opportunity to be very brave about the winter. Okay, thank you. So, dear colleagues, I think that I know that I have a lot very active colleagues from the chat, so I'm sorry if I will just mix up who is the author of the question. So I will read out this question from the audience. Another question from Alla Yeremenko from Energobusiness to Mr. Pereloma and to Mr. Ruchko. We'll be really grateful if you will be much more precise about the investment program of the UGS. When, what, how much will it cost? I think that I will start. And Volodymyr will speak more about this precise object, like he already has said, because like how much it will all cost. I know that this question is very important for everyone. When someone buys something and it costs a lot of money, then everyone is interested in that. Everyone would like to know how much did it cost. But I would like to remind you that Ukrtransgaz is providing their procurement according to the law of Ukraine on procurement. So as soon as we will buy something, we will go to Prozoro and we will have the bids there. How those bids will end, I don't know. I do hope that Ukrtransgaz will be able, because of the competition that we'll have, to have the lowest price of the services. What this price will be before the bids will close, no one knows. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Volodymyr, maybe you would like to add up something to this question, or said he has already covered the main thing. Yes, I think the main question, like how much will it cost and what will you do? Yes, okay. You can see more precise our program, program at our site. It has been published. We have the program that has been developed up till 2030. It's not a secret information. You can take a look at our site. All of the information is available on our site with all of the numbers of how much will it cost. But the costs, this is the so-called approximate expected costs that will be built on our analysis of the market that we currently have. And we will then go to the open bids, then this number is going to change. And yes, I have a lot of hopes that they will be definitely lower. The next question is from our colleagues from Argus. Anastasia Hassan is asking, what is the difference between the buffering gas and the long-term stored gas? And even if we take a look at the audit, let us answer with the first question. The buffering gas is, first of all, there's the gas that is the main equity. So this is the gas that our storage system cannot function. It is owned by the state as well as the UGS and is being, first of all, audited as the main equities of the UGS. When we are speaking of the long-term preservation and long-term storage gas, this is the customer's gas, which is our main commodity. That's not our equity. It is owned by the clients. But as an operator of the PSG, we have the written support that we are not going to collect it in the recent years for our own needs. Okay, thank you. Just a second. A question from Anastasia Hassan. So why did you come up with a decision not to use Oleshivske and Krasnokhopivske UGS? Yes, we're not using them in this injection system. Oleshivka and Krasnokhopivska underground storages, underground vaults. One of the reasons we're not using it because, first of all, the cost of the storage of gas in those underground vaults is going to be significantly different than the costs of the storage in under the other storages. We have more than 700 million cubic meter of gas as the capacity of the storages, but it didn't influence the work of the system overall. Okay, thank you, Volodymyr. Thank you very much. Another try to get Oleksiy Savitsky from the ICTV. Oleksiy, good day. Can you please have your question to our speakers? Good day, everyone. Can you hear me right now? I'm sorry for this technical delay. Yes, we can hear you. Okay, I would like to get back to the topic of this rare course for the UGS. We quite understand because of objective and the subjective reasons this year you've managed to have the maximum of the fulfillment of the vaults. But what is going to be happening at the next season? What is going to be happening in 2021, 2022? Do you have some markets forecasts of whether Ukrainian storages will be popular for the next years? Well, maybe we will not have as last winter, for example, a lot of things will be injected because of the uncertainness of the Ukrainian and Russian negotiation process. So whether they're going to be used all the time in around 10 BCM by Europeans and foreigners in the recent years, do you have any forecasts for the next years to come? Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I would like to identify that we are already living under the market conditions. Whether there will be demand or no, the market will show. On the forecasts, yes, I have expectation that yes, I cannot forecast it for many years in front of us. Even this year, with the fall down of the gas prices, has shown a very strong volatility on the gas market that was being very positive for us, for the demand of the storages for us. But for the future, for the nearest future, yes, I do believe that is going to be popular. The Ukrainian storages will be popular. Why? Because I see at least three trends for that. First of all, Ukrainian actors, Ukrainian players will continue in injection natural gas in order to provide the needs for Ukrainian customers for the next heating season. This is an every year annual story. The next thing, as far as I understand, a lot of traders, okay, not a lot of traders, but a certain amount of traders that are currently have certain amounts of the gas in the underground storages, they would like to also sell it later on this year or next year, the longest. So this is their expectations on their prices with the natural gas. And we understand that the traders are going to keep their gas up till the moment they can, up till the moment that they would like to hold that back in order to sell it for the best price in the future. So I have heard it from many times in the market that there are some certain plans on providing the long-term reservation. And another point that we also discussed already, this is the overall commercial attractiveness. And we have seen this dynamic in Ukrainian storages. You have seen that we already have seen whether we have some certain plans of the significant change of the tariffs. We do not have it in the certain today. So I do believe that if we consider the three trends and the three main points that we can speak that at least in the short-term perspective, we will have the demand for Ukrainian storages in place, and I hope that we will see the positive dynamics next season as well. Thank you very much. And if I also may, another question, very interesting to know, like where we have the LNG gas, the American gas, for example, because Ukrainian UGS, they have been very perspective for storing the LNG gas that would come to us from the terminals from Poland. In your opinion, how fast this perspective can be implemented and whether physically it is possible to store this gas? Physically, this gas cannot get to our underground storages. As soon as it gets to the Baltic countries, to Poland, there is a decompression and it is being injected into European gas and transport system. So it becomes the usual, basically it becomes the natural gas. So if our clients will carry it, if they will uncargo that, if they will get it to the European GTS, and they will have this opportunity and desire to store it in the Ukrainian storages, of course they will have it. Answering the question when we will have our own LNG terminal, I do believe that that's not a question to Ukrtransgaz as an operator of the storage system. You know that there are certain problems on the tanker deliveries through Bosphorus. Can I comment upon that? Yes, I know that will have that will also have additional work with those gases, but the question is also as well, like, should it be from Europe or should it be like economical sense to have it like a virtual reverse and to then replace this with Russian gas? Okay, so once again, if we are speaking about the LNG gas, as soon as it gets to Europe, as soon as it gets to the European gas transport system, then they can be used to all of the products that is offered by the operators of Ukrainian GTS and the operators of the UGS. So basically, there are no certain differences between the working with the decompressed LNG gas and natural gas. It will be used the very same regulations. It will be used with the very same products and approaches as any other natural gas product. Thank you. Thank you, Alexei. Thank you very much for your question. And right now, let's get back to chat box because we also have a lot of questions coming from here. The next question, I'm going to read it out as well, but I'm not sure. Okay, I will just read it out. This is the question from Dmitry Bunetsky, who has asked for the preparations of the heating seasons and the work of the Ukrainian UGS systems. So trying to clarify this question, how much has Ukraine consumed for the heating season in the past? Oh, we should take a look at the numbers. But roughly that will be 30 billions and a year. And if Ukraine, so we had additional additions for the law of Ukraine on the natural gas, and the balance of gas has not been comprised. And so it's really hard for me to say then what kind of consumption levels we had at certain categories. Okay, thank you very much. Another question from Alla Yeromenko. Once again, a question to you, said he. The operators, the OGTSU and the operator of the UGS has now signed up an agreement for creating a unified platform that can be a gas hub. So when it will be possible and whether the truth or no, like, I don't know, maybe you know, Ala knows something much more than I do, like with the donor-based development food. Well, I will try to find information on that and I will answer you personally. Yes, but at this moment, I can't answer this question or comment upon that with certainty. Okay, I guess then the next question will be addressed to Volodymyr. Maybe that will give us a little bit explanation. So Victoria Dovhal from Arbus is asking us, can you please tell us more about the buffering gas, about its functionality, and what is the overall the level that has to be kept in the underground storages? So again, I think you will help me with that. So what I have already said, the buffering gas, the main equities, the main assets that we have. This is the natural gas that has to be built in the underground storages in order to provide the needed pressure so that the underground storage system could work. But if there is like a lower level than the passport capacities, then yes, there's going to be lower pressure in the system that has been created. So yes, the amount and the volumes of the buffering gas, that only what is going to be the overall regime for the pressure in the underground walls. The commodity gas that we currently have will go into collect from the underground storages, but it will just take longer time if we have the lower amounts of the buffering gases. If is this the right answer? I hope. Yes, let us hope that is the right answer for the journalists. Okay, thank you. And the next question I think will be to Agnetha, because whether you plan to use the actioning approach to the dissemination of the services for the Ukrainian UGS because of the high demand in 2020. So I can Arhus Media, Anastasia Hassan. So it has already been said that we currently have a flat fee and we have a regulated tariff and we have the certain approach to capacity without using the auctions. I would like to add up on that after the unbundling, the Ukrtransgaz team has started to study the experiences of the foreign operators of the underground storages. And I would like to say that we cannot give you the clear answer whether we'll have it for the auctioning approach or whether we will stay in the concept of the disseminating capacities that we currently have in the gas storages code. We would like to now have a more detailed analysis of whether we should introduce it for the operator of the gas storages, because as has already been said, and this year is a very interesting one because of many different trends and many different indicators and because of the highest level of the amounts that are being volumes of the storages that's being used. But we have to maximize all of the factors in order for us to know whether we will use the auctioning capacities or no. So currently this issue is being studied, and it's not only the changes for the code are needed in order to launch the auctioning approach in Ukraine. It's not going to take months or two. We know that there's a significantly long path that we have to go through in order to get the amendments to the code and provide it to the regulator. We will need at least 3 months to do that, to provide these amendments into the code of the usage of the gas storages. And you have to be technically ready to use the platform and develop your own platform or to procure the platform, procure any other software to work with that. So this question is under discussion. So I can once again inform our customers that for the following year of the stores that will be working under those certain conditions that are currently being identified under the agreement and under the code. And the auctioning, the dissemination of the capacity is not going to introduced for the next year. Okay, thank you. And once again, so this is a question in couple of parts, and I understand that Agnetha, this is the question is going to be more to Serhiy, but it's going to be slightly hard because it isn't written. Dmytro Bonetsky from Delo UA, once again, that he would like to continue with his question, and it's made of a couple of parts. So I will just try to read it out. If the gas has been contracted, we cannot take that away. So We cannot use this gas in the system. Okay, and the continuation of this question. So this is a very important issue. So I would like to once again emphasize it. How much gas we can use for the heating period and how much gas is contracted. And based on the data of the previous heating periods, what is it, the amount of gas that we can be used? You know, I'm trying to get to understand this question, like who has contracted the volumes of gas and why we cannot collect the contracted gases. If it has been contracted, if it's been bought, so basically that there were some plans for the certain provision of the Ukrainian customers because of those contracts. If those traders that have already sold their gas and they have already had the sign agreements, and those who are still keeping their gases in the vaults, thinking about selling these gases in the future, unfortunately, as an operator, we do not have this information available. This is the commercial, confidential secrets for all of the participants of the market, and I have no rights and I have no commitment to provide this information. And I understand that what you're interested in whether we will have enough natural gas for the sustainable heating season in Ukraine. I would like to remind you that the provision of our customers through the period of the heating season is not being provided by only the gases that are being kept in the storages. All of our national gas extracting and excavating companies, including UGV, they're working on a daily basis. So the Ukrainian gas system will have certain amount of natural gas injected on a daily basis. In summer and in winter, we almost have the same amount of the gas, and this gas is going to be redirected for the heating season as well. Moreover, at least in the recent 5 years, we have seen the picture, we have seen the trend when we had additional imports of the gas. So to provide these calculations for the heating season only being based on the volumes that we currently store in Ukrainian underground vaults is not the right way to do that. So this is the first comment upon that. The second comment to this question is that I could have answered this question if I knew the plans of the owners of the resource. So if the keeper, if our customer would like to say, I would like to collect it and I would use it then and then with those volumes for this concern, then I would have been able to provide you with analytics and to give you the answer to this question. Right now, I do not have this information available on the plans of every player on how they plan to use their gas. Theoretically, they can keep it for a couple of years there in the underground storages, waiting for the best moment for the market to come. They can get it and sell it in this heating season on the market, and also it's quite possible that they will try to export this gas if they are selling those gases for consumption outside the territory of Ukraine. Everything can happen. All of those scenarios are possible. And this fact that someone is now, for example, storing in the customs warehouse, in the customs storage plant, they might not have the plans for, exporting these gases. It's quite important situation when we have imported gases, but for example, the company is going to preserve and save their own costs and their flows, and they do not want to go through the customs clearance. So we have a quite prolonged term for from storing the gas without paying the customs fees, and the people are not going to pay them right now. They're going to pay it when they're going to have the custom clearance before they're physically going to sell it. So there's many possible scenarios, and currently I don't have enough data in order to answer this question clearly for you. But we have the needed amounts in order to go through this heating system. Thank you, Serhi. And the next question, I think, will be to Volodymyr. Ukrtransgaz has said that they're getting prepared for moving from cubic meters in your measurements up to the energy units. that has been announced in spring. What stage of the development of this issue currently, and when Ukraine will be able to use the European accepted norms on measuring gas? Well, as soon when Ukraine will turn to the energy units, this is going to be depending on how fast the Parliament of Ukraine will approve the draft laws that we have. And as far as we know, this draft law is now being discussed in the Parliament, and it's planned that the next year Ukraine should get to the measurement of gas in the energy units. Ukrtransgaz is, and all of our storages were physically ready to calculate all of the gases, all of the volumes that we have in the energy units. So basically, we're ready to start using this European standards. And so it will be much more comfortable for all of us than right now. Okay, this is like a brief clarification from your side. And another clarifying question from Dmytro Bonetsky from DLUA. And we have some certain limitations online. Maybe it's not very good for us to communicate online, but I would think that it will be quite clearer for all of us. But I do believe that we'll be able to answer it clearly, and Metro will receive the information he wanted to hear. So I am troubled by the issue on whether we will not be able to collect once again the gas on the cheaper price in order not to be drawn to arbitrage then. Yes, now I get the question and what you're thinking of. I think that you have a very good memory, and I haven't been working in the system of Naftogaz at those times, but I've really listened to history and I've learned the history as well. The situation, as far as I remember, that was 2008. 2008, according to the Ukrainian legislation decision, the gas, the joint gases, has been then collected by the Ukraine, and we have now judicial court listening up till now still. I would like to draw your attention to another point. Well, so right now we have significant regulations change and legislation change. We have changed the legislation that regulates the Ukrainian gas market. Ukraine tries to synchronize our legislation in the gas market with European legislation. Currently, only the owner can collect their gas. So the situation that you're describing in your question, that there will be someone unknown, like a state or any kind of company or any other body based on the state's order, will collect the gas that is in the ownership of other customer. It is impossible. This is how we build the current legislation of Ukraine, and this is how we're building and basing our inside documents for the Ukrtransgaz. So I would like to even ask you not to even consider this scenario, this option possible. I do hope that I now clearly understand your question, and I do hope that you clearly understand my answer. Thank you, said he. Thank you, Sri. We're still trying to connect with our partners from the Vital company. Unfortunately, Zoom, as we already said, that technology today is not on our side. So Katya Busel, the business developer for adequate market, gas and power, we can hear her and we won't be able to see her. Can you help me? Can we get her on the screen? Well, at least as sound format.
Hi,
Katya?
can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Katya, can you hear us? Would you like to speak Russian, Ukrainian, English? What kind of language would you like to speak of?
Any, but not Ukrainian, not Ukrainian.
Okay, so maybe we'll go with Ukrainian.
No.
Okay, how much time have you been already working with Ukrtransgaz as an operator of the underground gas storages in Ukraine?
So we've been working since 2017. I believe that was the first time that we've signed a contract. So it's been, I would say, quite an interesting experience, and we've seen the storage facility itself developing and the systems developing and becoming more and more sort of like Western type, which is good, a positive development.
Okay, so can you please tell us why have you made up this decision to store your gas and your assets in Ukraine?
So, well, we believe that Ukrainian market is an interesting strategical situation with regards to connection to other countries. So, and it allows to use the services like short haul and customs warehouse, and the links to all the interconnection points, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, hopefully Romania at some point.
Thank you very much. And Katya, can you please also tell us that today, throughout our presentation, we have discussed the position of the non-resident companies, and we have also discussed that their volumes has changed significantly in 2019 and 2020. Speaking on your point of view, what was the differences between the injection system 2019, injection season 2019 and injection season 2020? And I would like to ask you to answer this question in the context of storing your gases in Ukrainian systems.
I would say it's every company makes their own commercial decisions with regards to storing the gas or not. But I think one of the big advantages this year for the storing of the gas was also introduction of the short haul.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Katya. Thank you very much for your participation. It's too bad we weren't able to see you, but we really appreciate your participation. We really appreciate you as a customer, as a partner, and we do hope that 2020 will not be the last year of our collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, dear colleagues, I think that all of the questions that we had our chat box, we have already had them covered, and I think that we can wrap up our today's meetings. So thank you very much for all those who have been following our broadcast, and I would like to say that the broadcast in Ukrainian and in English translation is going to be uploaded for the Facebook pages for Naftogaz Group, for the Facebook page of Naftogaz Gas Storages, and for the Federation of the Employers of the Gas and Oil sphere. Thank you very much for having this time with us. Goodbye. Thank you and goodbye.